Watch the entire video before commenting. Welcome digital citizens, this is Brave New World. The title of this presentation is, in the future, 1 Bitcoin will be worth $0 US. Bitcoin's price projection. The value of 1 Bitcoin at its inception was worth $0 US. The value of 1 Bitcoin in the future will be worth $0 US. Let's start off by defining a term, fiat. Fiat is a type of currency that is not backed by a physical commodity, such as gold or silver. The value of fiat is derived from government decree and the trust of the people using it. Core characteristics. There is no intrinsic value in fiat. A $20 bill is just a piece of paper, which is different to Bitcoin, as Bitcoin's utility lies in its ability to store and transfer wealth between space and time without a third-party intermediary in a fast and efficient method. Government mandate. Fiat is established as legal tender, meaning it must be accepted for all debts, public and private, within that country. Transacting in Bitcoin is voluntary. Central control. Supply is managed by central banks like the Federal Reserve in the US, allowing them to influence the economy by adjusting interest rate and money supply. Bitcoin is a self-auditing blockchain resistant to third-party entities controlling the network. Price projection. The fact that Bitcoin's fiat price reached $100 is not important. The fact that Bitcoin's fiat price reaching $1,000 is not important. The fact that Bitcoin's fiat price reaching 10K is not important. The fact that the fiat price of 1 Bitcoin is worth 80K USD right now is not important. It's the fact that Bitcoin's fiat price reaching $1 was a miracle. The fact that Bitcoin reached any value is the miracle. Why? Because this proves Bitcoin's monetary system works. However, the problem with current measurements is that using the US dollar to measure Bitcoin's value is flawed because the dollar is a poor tool with an unknown and increasing supply. Here is the US dollar's purchasing power from 1913 to 2019. Here is the purchasing power of the US dollar since the creation of the US Federal Reserve. The purchasing power of the USD will continue to decline as the allure for the incentives for money printing is too strong. Thus, the value of US dollar declines. Again, as an individual, you must ask yourself, why work and save the value of your labor in money that is always inflating? Here is Bitcoin's USD price from 2011 to the present. Bitcoin's USD price is always increasing over time. The price here is charted in log scale versus linear scale. Log scale of Bitcoin's price is the orange line to the left, while Bitcoin's linear scale is the white line to the right. Everything divided by 21 million. Here is an economic lesson. A nation always invents new capital goods. New technologies are created, which leads to a nation's economy to grow. As the economy grows, the supply of Bitcoin remains fixed. This means each Bitcoin naturally gains more purchasing power as the total value of the economy increases. Just a reminder, Bitcoin supply is hard capped at 21 million Bitcoin. The fact that 1 Bitcoin in 2009 equals 1 Bitcoin in 2026 within Bitcoin's monetary network is extremely important. In Bitcoin's monetary network, external value that our society ascribes to Bitcoin is irrelevant within Bitcoin's monetary network. Therefore, the US dollar/fiat price is irrelevant within Bitcoin's monetary network. Therefore, in any time frame, 1 Bitcoin will always equal 1 Bitcoin. Here is the illustration of Bitcoin's purchasing power from 2016 to present. As you can see, the purchasing power is always increasing over time. To the left is inflation described in grocery supplies, while the image on the right shows the price of home versus Bitcoin. You tell me, what do you see? Referring back to Bitcoin's purchasing power from 2016 to present, here is a chart of Bitcoin's price compared to gold. Bitcoin's price versus gold is a more accurate representation of Bitcoin's value. It is better to compare hard and sound assets together. Right now, in regards to this chart, every time Bitcoin's price moves up in this chart, it illustrates Bitcoin's value rising compared to gold. However, in small instances, Bitcoin's price does fall compared to gold in certain time frames. However, it is quite clear that Bitcoin is always rising compared to gold's price and value. Right now, gold is currently breaking out in value and price. In my own personal opinion, I believe Bitcoin's value and price will eventually follow to the upside along with and surpass gold. Why? It's because I believe Bitcoin is a better form of money moving into the digital and multipolar world. Bitcoin is both technology and an asset. There is Bitcoin, the technology, and then there's Bitcoin, the asset. Bitcoin as a technology adoption prediction. Most network techs like radio, telephone, and the internet followed an S-shaped adoption curve. A slow start in the beginning with a rapid expansion and then smoothing out once the market is saturated. Bitcoin the technology might follow an S-curve as depicted to the right. Bitcoin the technology might follow an S-curve while Bitcoin the asset might follow a J-curve as illustrated below. Bitcoin's price projection. In the future, Bitcoin replaces all other forms of money. At this point, you no longer measure Bitcoin in local currencies. Instead, those failing currencies are measured in Bitcoin. Bitcoin's purchasing power will increase at an ever-accelerating rate forever due to three factors. 1. There's a fixed supply. Bitcoin has a capped supply and its issuance rate is halved every 4 years. 2. Global efficiency. A sound money standard makes the world economy more efficient and less wasteful. 3. Value absorption. Bitcoin acts as a vessel that absorbs all the value generated by this increased global efficiency. As Bitcoin ascends in adoption and purchasing power, old institutions that measures wealth like traditional fiat currencies will become obsolete. Here is the price of Bitcoin in Iranian rial to the left and the price of Bitcoin in Egypt to the right. These images were taken on January 27th. With the destruction of local fiat currency, Bitcoin serves as your protection to maintain purchasing power for yourself and your family. What is Bitcoin's price projection? As a nation economy grows, the supply of Bitcoin remains fixed. This means each Bitcoin naturally gains more purchasing power as the total value of the economy increases. As Bitcoin ascends in adoption and purchasing power, old institutions will become obsolete and traditional fiat currencies like the US dollar will fall in purchasing power due to inflation. Therefore, the value of one Bitcoin in the future will be worth $0. Again, as a reminder, here is the rise and fall of the US dollar purchasing power since 1913 through 2019. Again, let me reiterate the point. Therefore, the value of one Bitcoin in the future will be worth $0 as the purchasing power and value of the US dollar goes to zero. In my opinion, I believe today Bitcoin's fiat price is worth millions. It's just the world has not found out and caught up yet. Therefore, there is volatility in fiat USD price right now as Bitcoin is currently in value discovery. Eventually, the fiat price of Bitcoin and fiat USD will catch up. Some people will see this as an opportunity. Bitcoin's volatility today is the price of holding Bitcoin today. It keeps true believers with strong convictions and strong hands better entrants to accumulate more Bitcoin while keeping Bitcoin tourists and weak hands out. Unfortunately, not everyone will be able to handle the ride. As we transition to this new world, we must be brave. Again, don't be fooled. Additionally, Bitcoin's true value is in the ability to self-custody your own Bitcoin and create personal sovereignty. It's hard to visualize this value. It's extremely difficult to steal something that is digital. How can governments extort Bitcoin from the population in mass scale? One way is to centralize Bitcoin in entities like Bitcoin treasury companies, governments, or banks, or Bitcoin-backed loans, and ETFs or ETPs, so you can't own Bitcoin in self-custody. The world is moving to central bank, digital currencies, and stablecoins. Don't you get it? Do you want your money and your spending habits controlled? AI will shrink the workforce, which makes creating and storing value hard for the individual. You will need to find a way to store the value of your labor, but how? With Bitcoin. Knowing this, get to one Bitcoin. Check out my previous video titled The New Social Elite Bitcoin Wholecoiners. Conclusion. As always, a disclaimer. This video is not financial advice. This is financial entertainment. Please do your own research. Assess your own risk tolerance. That is the end of today's presentation. Please subscribe, like and share the video, and comment below. Thank you and have a good day.